Did you know 40% of New Zealanders couldn't raise $1,000 if a financial emergency struck? In this video, we're going to take you through what is an emergency fund and how it can work for you. Check it out. Thanks for sticking around. What exactly is an emergency fund? Well, an emergency fund is a set amount of money that you're going to require in the event of an emergency. Emergency could be anything. It could be a car broken down. It could be maybe a loss of a job. It could be maybe your budgies died, or a raft of other things. Perhaps you've got a limited amount of money already in the bank which might be able to cover these short-term expenses. Perhaps you don't. Either way, an emergency fund is a vital piece in your financial arsenal. And this is where we introduce Ron. Ron is a 75-year-old retired gentleman who's had a bit of a mishap, but we'll let Ron tell you his story. Take it away, Ron. Ron here, 75 years of age, retired, don't have a home, got no money, had a minor accident with the car, not good, and then a mate, well, he gave me some hot tips on a great horse. Unfortunately, the horse didn't pay off, so now I'm broke and I got a big bill to pay for a damaged car. Well, that certainly was a tale of woe and despair. Poor old Ron. But maybe if he'd had a decent plan in place, an emergency fund as a backup, he wouldn't be in the situation that he's in now. And exactly how much will you need for an emergency fund? First thing you got to do is you got to make a budget, because you got to find out how much money you will need in the case of, let's say, a job loss. A job loss could take 3 months to 12 months to get another job, and if you don't have a job, things could be not so good. The general consensus is 3 to 6 months. I go for 12 months myself for an emergency fund that's designed to maintain your lifestyle for up to 12 months or 3 months, depends on what you're after. And the amount of money that you'll need for an emergency fund, well, it could be $5,000, it could be $10,000, it could be $20,000 or even more. It's entirely up to you. It depends on your lifestyle and what you perceive as a good safety net. In our actual scenario, we've dedicated $25,000 for our emergency fund, which covers all our basic living costs for 12 months. We'll take you through those numbers a little bit later on in the video. And where exactly should you store your emergency fund? Well, there's a few places. Make a budget, start small, and cut back on expenses to get your emergency fund fully funded as soon as you can. You could put the money under your mattress, not a good idea, but you could. And ideally the money should be in some sort of account where it's easy to get access to it, but not too easy so you're tempted to go and spend the money. The best thing to do is just to start, whether it's $10 or $20, if you can do it regularly, that's always ideal, because over time it will build up. If you put in $20 a week, even where you're at right now, in a year's time, you have $1,000. Maybe you can afford $100 a week, you could have $5,000 in a year's time. The important thing is to just do it and just start saving that money up for the emergency. I'm telling you, you're going to sleep a lot better at night. Here's our emergency fund. It's currently got $25,000 in it, which based on our income, we need $26,000, which essentially covers $500 a week for living costs. This will last us approximately 1 year on our frugal lifestyle. We can see here it's broken down into various different components here. The actual emergency fund that's available the next business day is $8,034.27. If we were to ask the bank for that money, we could get it the next business day and it would go into our regular savings account, and that would be great. Now, the reason why we've got some of these split up into different accounts is because the longer the term, the more money you can get. So this is a 32-day notice saver, this one. The emergency fund pays 4.6%, so it's good to have your money actually doing something and actually working for you in the meantime. The notice saver, currently the rates are 5.25% for the 32-day notice, and for 90-day notice it's another 0.25%, 5.5%. And we've got the Portugal trip on the 5.25% for 32 days. And eventually, if we ever buy a Portuguese house, that one's at 5.5%. Now, you're not going to get a lot of house for $3,000, but some houses over in Portugal are pretty cheap. And we've also staggered some of this money in because term deposits currently are paying a decent rate. We've got 6%, chances are we're not going to have a major emergency in the near future, so the fact that these term deposits that we've also invested in are staggered. Let's just scroll down a bit. You can see we've got quite a few of them here. I think there's 10 in total by now. They're just $1,000 each, but they're staggered out over time. They do pay 6% or some of them 6.1%. It will get us some extra money. And if we did have a job layoff of some description and we needed to get this money out, well, we'd just wait till the policies matured, take the money and use it for everyday living, everyday spending. So just to recap, $8,000 that we could get out the next business day. The rest of it is staggered. In terms of this particular emergency fund that we've got, Heartland Bank, I can recommend them. They do provide a good service and a decent interest rate in today's current climate. Thanks for the tips, Vinny. I will take that on board. I will start saving emergency funds straight away because it really sounds like it's a good thing to do. And if I hadn't have been so stupid, well, I probably would have done that in the first place, but never mind, here we are. Let's carry on regardless, eh? Well, that's certainly good to hear, Ron. Yeah, good stuff. Just start slowly, do what you can with what you got. It's certainly better to be prepared than unprepared, no doubt about it. And we're confident that we can sleep well at night knowing if an emergency strikes, we've got the money to cover it. As the old saying goes, money doesn't grow on trees, but it's definitely better to have some in the event of an emergency than not to have some. That's for sure. I'm going to start selling stuff around the house. I got some old Zimmer frames and a couple of walking sticks, amongst other bits and bobs. I'll start selling those off and kickstart my emergency fund because it sounds like it's a really good idea. And the worst case scenario is, if you don't have an emergency fund and disaster strikes, you'll be bailing up family and friends, ticking up the credit card, or worst case scenario, payday loans. I hope you got some value out of this video. That's all we got time for. We'll catch you in the next one. Have a great night. See you later.